Let's talk about it.
It's going to be one of those nights. It's
You know
going
what?
to be one of those
I'm
nights.
here. You're here. We're having fun. We've got a great guest. We'll go with the flow, man. For those of you that don't know, we just had a little bit of a technical difficulties. Lately, we've been having a little bit of tech difficulties, but we're here. So don't worry about it. The universe wanted it that way, and so it shall be.
Yeah. God knows what we missed in the 3 minutes we weren't on air. Hey, Diana, how are you? Guys, we see there are people watching the show. We appreciate that. If you want us to know who you are, there's something you want to say, that is the only way that we can see you, is you actually have to type in something and say something, and then we know you're here. It's great to have you, but we would like to know you're here. So,
Yeah.
hey, Jane, how's it going? Julianne, how are you?
Everybody.
Yeah, so guys, we've been off for a couple of weeks. When we came, I gotta tell you, when we came back was October. When we came back in October of last year, we were gonna have a hiatus schedule as well as an active schedule, and I think we're gonna go to that. So we're going to have time, kind of like when you watch a regular TV show, they have, 8 or 9 shows, and then bloop, they're gone while they refilm another season. And they throw reruns out there. Well, that's what we're going to do as well, because we do need to have a little bit of a hiatus. So that's going to be what's going on with us down the road live. So if you look at your screen someday and you go, I think I've already seen this show. Well, you probably have. But that's going to be how we need to handle it, because honestly, life will pass you by if you don't give it an opportunity to look.
Right.
So, so we're going to go with the show format that we have now. We'll probably pick this up until, I would say, the end of April. Then we'll be on a hiatus, and then we'll come back from a hiatus probably the 1st of June. And then we'll go from there. I don't know about y'all. I have 3 grandkids, and they keep me kind of busy.
Yes.
Just saying. And I like being grandpa, so that helps. So, Katie, what have you been up to?
Well, you know what? It's been a whirlwind for me. In between vehicles, in between, life and, dealing with everyday struggles, as everybody does, work and the whole 9 yards. But no, you know what? I'm still here. I'm happy. I'm healthy. And, so are my friends. So is my family. So are you. And that's all that matters.
Yeah, I hear you. I've had those times in my life. I fully understand. So did the car finally last right? Is it?
She's kaputs, people. My SUV's kaputs. It's done. So I'm going to be shopping for a new vehicle coming soon.
There you go. There you go. That works. I mean, it's that time. Yeah, we just got Lori a new vehicle, and it was time. It was just time. Sometimes you got to reach into the pockets to make it worth the while. But we've got a lot of people.
Good Lord. Welcome, everybody. For those of you just joining us, you know that we multicast. We multicast in multiple networks. I may not be able to see your comments, but Richard can. So if you have a specific comment or question for myself, don't hesitate to put my name in the comments. And if I don't answer it, Richard realizes and understands that I can't see it. I do have multiple screens going on at once. You know what, guys? I also want to ask a favor. I would really, really appreciate it if you guys would like and share. We've got some wonderful guests that have come on. Richard and I think we talk about some pretty cool content. And the gentleman that we have tonight is a pretty cool cat himself. So if you like this and you want more content like this, then please give us a like and share so that other people can check it out and see if it's for them too.
All right. Well, I wanted to say, hey, let's say we got a bunch of people coming here. A lot of people come here. Julianne, hey. Adam, hey. Jane, hey. Tara. Ellen, Debbie, Jen, good to see you guys. Wow, Joe Fox, don't think you've ever been on the show, but hello. And then Lori Rulin. What? Oh, yes, why? Yeah. And then Nadia Bartholomew. Appreciate you guys. Really do. Just, tonight's guest is again kind of not, it's not going to be the discussion about, there was a ghost I saw once in September of last year. No. So this guest leans a lot more into the stuff that I think I would like to get to know more about personally. We're talking about Reiki. We're talking about meditation. We're talking about things that are designed to chill you out. And God knows I need those things to learn. Right. Chill me out. Hey, Joanne, how's it going? I think all of us do. I think anybody in this business needs to not only, of course, I carry stones. We've had people on here that talk about crystals, and you yourself have too. So I've got those, but I would just kind of like to learn how to chill, how to meditate.
Right. Well, you and I talk about this all the time. How do you open your spirituality? People ask us all the time, how do you get better psychic abilities? How do you, have better paranormal encounters when you're paranormal investigating? And it's really getting into your spirituality. It's centering yourself. It's heightening your vibration. And what better way to do it than to ground yourself and meditate? So this is how we wanted to kind of bring it in and explain it, because even though it doesn't feel paranormal, it is. It's dealing with the same energy. Energy is energy, and you're getting into that vibration. And so this is not going to be anything but an amazing experience. I think Justin's really going to be able to explain how things work and kind of how he does it, and his ideas of the best way to kind of get you in the zone.
Get me in the zone. I need zone. I'm not talking about AutoZone. That's a big store down here. I need to be in the zone personally. I need to try to learn how to gain my zen, as it were, because life likes to throw you curveballs.
Absolutely.
I never could hit a curveball very well. So, for me, learning ways to kind of take the pressure off would be nice to hear. So what do you have the background on this guy? Do you have
I've got the 411
background? Go ahead and lay it on us, please.
Yes. Okay. So Justin was born in Southern Ontario in 1983. He studied literature and philosophy at the university before dropping out in 2005. That's the universe working for you. Justin is an internationally certified teacher of meditation and a breath work, and is the founder of Director Path Meditation Training and Energy Work. Justin has a certificate in mindfulness-based stress reduction from the UMass program. He has completed an 8-week training in the practice of centering prayer by founder and Trappist monk, Father Thomas Keating. Justin had his first encounter with Reiki, during which he had a phenomenal and transcendent experience, which produced a profound and enduring shift in his state of being and perception of reality. It was this discovery that led to Justin's exploration of the effects of energy work on meditation. Since then, Justin has become a certified Reiki master and energy worker in multiple modalities, and is now developing techniques of his own. He has received training, transmission, and certification from world-class energy work masters, Ole Gabrielson, Harry Andre, Winsario, Lorraine Goldblum, and Brett Bevell. He is also a registered member of the International Center for Reiki Training, directed by William Rand. And I apologize right now if I mispronounce those names, but that's him. This is Justin, man. What's he not done?
Just so you know, folks, Katie was not reading that at all. That was all from memory. Sorry, I had to throw that one out there. I couldn't remember that. Hey, Carmen. What's up, Nikki? Guys, so for us, this is a good opportunity to learn another facet, I think, of how we need to operate with ourselves. And I'm always looking for better ways to chill out. That's for sure. Always looking for better ways to clear myself of negative energies, things like that, because you get out here in this world enough and you deal with the other world enough. Yeah, it'll stress you out. So I think what we should do at this point is, without further ado, I think we need to bring Justin in. Justin, come on in here. There he is.
Hello.
What's up, buddy?
Thank you very much for having me. Very well, thank you.
Here before.
one time before.
It's like a deja vu moment.
Right?
Great to be
So,
here. Thank you very
Justin,
much.
tell us how it got started for you. I know you've been writing here and all. Let's hear the human side of it for a minute. What got you into doing it? What triggered? What flipped, the switch, so to speak?
Sure. Well, when I was young, when I was about 16, I had a very typical sort of atheistic, materialistic upbringing, and not materialistic in the shallow sense of the term, but just the material world is what reality is. You know what I mean? That sense, a materialist. And so that was the perspective I was operating at. And I was starting to think about what I wanted to study at university and what I wanted to do with my life. And I was very interested in literature and philosophy and stuff like that. And I started to read some things, and I was thinking about things all the time. And I remember one evening, and I think this was perhaps an inadvertent first experience of meditation. Um, I was sitting on my bed, and there was an orb that appeared in the room. So this is going to sound pretty far out to people that are more meditation and Reiki people, but it's a thing that happened, and it grew and expanded, and I just went totally blind and was engulfed in this very splashy and colorful experience, including emotional release and just all this heavy energy, beautiful energy, and I didn't know what to make of that. I had no framework to process that experience with. And so I think that that was what led me down the path towards where I am today with meditation and energy work, was a desire to come to understand that, and to understand what I had experienced, and probably on one level or another, how to experience more of that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then as life progressed, we all make our choices and we do our things. And I had very happy times and successful times, and some not so happy times, and some really, really troubling times. And I developed, some neuroses and addictions, and I have had a lot of issues with anger, and that's tough. And we've all had our issues with whatever. But for me, it was these things, and I struggled to climb out of that. I really struggled to transcend the inner experience of just being miserable all the time, or angry all the time, or anxious all the time, or constantly needing something. I got really sick of constantly needing something to feel okay inside. I didn't want to need anything to feel okay inside. I just wanted, like Richard was talking about, I just want to chill out. I need to learn to be able to get in the zone and chill out, right? And that's kind of where I was coming from. It was like, I want to simplify myself. I became a minimalist in a big way. And just living as simply as possible alone is something that sort of clarifies your inner experience and produces a lot more peace, I found. But anyway, it was that desire to climb out of this constant ongoing state of being that wasn't so positive. And I had tried suppressing it. I had tried raging against it. I had tried covering it up with various things. I had tried all the things that we all try. I tried becoming something more or different, or adding something on top of. And I've never met anyone that worked for, and it certainly didn't work for me. And so it was when I began discovering self-examination, reading Plato, who said that the unexamined life is not worth living. And that really struck me. That was the first little fragment of philosophy that tweaked me and made me want to learn more about that kind of thing. And so I got into self-examination, and meditation is maybe the highest form of that.
Sure. Well, I will tell you as well with this show, we have a really great viewership. We have incredible people on here, and they know that this is a very open forum, chat back and forth. And they'll throw up questions, and if they're relevant to the subject matter, I'm going to bring them up, like this first one. Nikki said, do you feel that those physical symptoms were a result of not knowing had to challenge your natural energies. Sorry for the spelling. So did you feel that they were a result of not knowing how to channel correctly?
The physical symptoms, I'm not 100% sure, so please do feel free to clarify for me in another comment if I get this wrong. But I think you mean the physical symptoms that I experienced as a result of the that original experience with
Yeah,
the
the
orb.
down time. I think she's talking about the down part of your life, the part that
Oh, the
you
down
had
part of my
trouble
life. Excuse
with.
me. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think yes, I am sensitive. I am an energy sensitive person, and I definitely think that having no framework for that and no concept of that was a huge detriment and played a big part in why I was experiencing those symptoms because I didn't know how to manage my energy, how to work with my energy.
Now, here's another
Absolutely.
one she throws at you now. She said, did you feel that you were pushed or pressured into going further before you were truly ready because of your own desire to get that deep knowledge faster? If that makes sense.
It does, yeah, and in two ways, yes, I was pushed. I think on externally, I fell into this desire to do the philosophy thing, to learn this knowledge, but I was really trying to stay within the framework of normal social acceptability, and I was really trying to um, remain in that normal social ladder framework. That was my go-to. That was my security. That's what I felt was the right way to do life, right? And so
Right.
I was held back by doing that for sure and pushed too far. But I also pushed myself too far, I think, too soon, in the sense that I was trying to go into life without really having learned how to navigate it, or even maybe how to navigate myself, especially being sensitive.
Right.
I
That
think
adds
that
up.
I think that's a great segue because I think in to put it into perspective from a human consciousness to a spiritual consciousness, before we come and we go through the descension and we get incarnated, we write a soul contract, and that contract is basically going through learning lessons that we're supposed to be learning. Maybe it's possible that a lot of these problems that you endured was to help you to overcome them so that you in fact can help other people. I find that some of the most successful people in the world are those that had to have the biggest hardships, and it's through respect and through understanding that knowledge, that wisdom that was earned has gotten them to the other end of the spectrum and made them appreciate it that much more. How can you truly have an understanding of happiness if you've never experienced sadness, sorrow, or depression, or anger, or those things? And so really, I think that, as unfortunate as it was, you had to navigate through that. And we don't come with a logbook. We don't come with an instruction manual on how to become adults. But I feel like your spirit, your soul knew what was coming and pushed you towards that enlightenment. And I feel like as a psychic medium, as well as Richard, that subconsciousness kind of pushes that universal energy towards you and gives you multiple opportunities for you to study this, in which this is what happened to you. So, it's great that you can be consciously aware of it, because I think a lot of people today can't. They don't see, between the lines, and you were able to do that. So congrats. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it is. I've overcome a lot. So.
Yeah.
Now, Nikki's going to throw another one at you. She said, if you could mentor anyone that seems to be heading into darkness you were heading in yourself, what would you do first and why? Or second or third? Sorry, too many questions. Never too many questions. Never.
So in the context of someone that's in a little bit of crisis, as opposed to simply guiding someone into a meditation practice or energy work, certainly meditation and energy work would be on the docket down the line. But the first thing I would do is listen, and just go into deep presence with that person and create a space, hold a space for that person to be present with what they're going through, because they're not going to have any clarity without that. And if I'm going to interact with them and help to connect them with maybe the help they need, or the support they need, or to offer anything that I might have to offer, then I need to be clear too. So if they can't be clear, I can't be clear, I can't help. First thing is definitely to just be listening and presence.
No, that's a great answer. I'll tell you, there have been so many times that we've had people on here where we talked about mediumship abilities and people having abilities. And, you know, we've always heard people say the first thing they want to say at the time is, well, I just want to help people. No, no,
Right.
no. You want to set yourself up first for not having a failure. You want to protect yourself first. Because the initial feeling is, oh my God, I have the ability to do this stuff. I need to do something for something. Nope, until you get yourself set, I believe, until you get yourself set mentally, emotionally, metaphysically, don't step forward to help anyone else. And I'm not trying to be
Absolutely.
selfish about the abilities,
Nope.
but we all know, being in it the way I know Kitty and I are, is that you're giving away a piece of yourself as it is. Every time you read someone, you're giving away a piece of yourself. You're giving away your energy. And to do that willy nilly can really put you in a dangerous place. Then I
For
think,
sure.
agreeing with Katie's point, I think you have to, it in my 2 cent trucker term, I think you have to lose
Yeah.
first to understand even what some of these people are going through that we read. Even, I mean, because again, unfortunately, my poor team, every time we go out somewhere for dinner before an investigation, I'm not leaving there until I've read somebody. It's just the way it goes. But the thing of it is I've been the person who's wanted to know years ago. I wanted to know what's going on with me. I wanted to know what I could do differently. I want to know how I can fix things. And then when all of this stuff came to fruition, it took a long time for me to offer, it sounds corny, but to offer myself up
Yeah.
for
Yes.
helping
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah.
Because, you know, because you really want to. That's the whole reason why the gift has been given, is to share it. But if you're not ready to share it, if you're not ready to take on the monster yourself for your own support and issues, you can't go out there and do that for somebody else. So you have to go, getting back to the point, you have to go back to what Nikki asked earlier. You have to go back through your own pain, your own suffering, to realize what might need to happen for someone else so you can recognize, I think, so you can recognize what they're going through because you've been there. A lot different when you
Absolutely.
haven't been there. But when you've been to
Totally.
hell and back, you know.
Yeah.
Very
So
much
that's
so.
just the way I look at it. I mean, it may sound cornbally, but it's the way I look at it.
No.
Yeah. So
No,
let's break
I
it
don't think
down.
it sounds cornball.
Yeah, so you do a multitude of things. You know, not only are you an energy worker and do meditation, but what
Hey,
what
Terry.
brought you into going from meditation to Reiki and to different types of energy work? Now, granted, we're all dealing with energy, but one is receiving and one is giving. So what came first, and what made you decide to get into something like that? Out of all the things, what brought you to that?
Sure. So the first thing really was meditation. Meditation came first. I just wanted some inner peace, some inner quiet. And that was when I learned centering prayer to begin with, because the local spirituality, and I personally had no framework. It was Christian, and this is actually sort of esoteric, contemplative Christian practice. But it's if you watch the guy that teaches it, it doesn't look super churchy, and I think that a lot of people that aren't very churchy are very comfortable with it. And it took me into a very deep meditative practice that was very beneficial to me and other. So then from there, I was in and out of meditation over the years a little bit. And I would go into periods of, living one way or living another way, trying to be happy, And it wasn't until I found sort of a rock bottom place where I was like, no, 100%. I'm sick of the way things are inside. I'm sick of being the way I am, and I'm going to do something about it until something's done about it, right? And that was when I think it was Eckhart Tolle was probably the first person that I got into, and Eckhart Tolle rather, and that really brought me back into my old meditation practice, and got me introspective and whatnot. Now, how did that translate into Reiki and into other energy work? As I was deepening into meditation, as I was having these experiences of transcendent states, I heard through my girlfriend at the time, Melissa, who we now share a family together, and she was just randomly suggested one day that Reiki was supposed to be good for meditation. And I believe the practitioner I went to, it was Access Consciousness Bars was the first treatment that I had, which I think you practice, Katie. Is that right?
I
You
do. Yes, I'm an
consciousness
Access
bars?
Bars of Consciousness practitioner. Yes.
Roger that. Okay. Yeah. And so that was the very first thing I had even before Reiki. And I was like, oh, that's something. That's certainly not nothing. And it gave me, I was very clear, and it did affect my meditation. It did produce the opportunity for ease of depth in meditation. And so I thought, holy smokes, we need to really investigate this. I need to take a look at this and see how this correlates and how it flows together in more ways. And what I've discovered really, and this is an experience that I've shared with everybody that I've shared these techniques with, is, and very simple, it's while you meditate and while I guide you in meditation, I will channel energy to you at the same time. And that will create optimal brainwave states for you. That will create an optimal physical and mental state for you, a relative comfort from which to do your practice. And it will create an altered consciousness, or at least a very good opportunity for you to enter an altered state of consciousness. Really get into those theta waves or wherever you need to be. And you're going to get a lot more ease and depth in your meditation from that. And that's going to accelerate the process of you becoming more mindful and you becoming more capable of remaining present with life as it unfolds without resistance. So that's the power of it in total. But everyone seems to have this same experience where as soon as the energy starts unfolding, it really cuts through the default operating mode of the mind, the chatter of the monkey brain, right? And it cuts through that cleanly and then just bores right down and takes you to a depth. And the meditation opens you to be more receptive to the energy and allows you to process the subtle energy being channeled on a deeper level, and I think maybe even more thoroughly. And so they really complement each other in these very powerful ways.
Thank you. That's great. I love that answer too. But some lady by the name of Lori Rule, and I don't know what relationship she is to me. She's a trans medium. We come to find this out in a couple of unfortunate instances while investigating. She is just asking, how does one protect themselves from paranormal while in a meditative state?
That's a totally reasonable question, and especially for sensitive folks.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a number of answers, a number of ways you can do that, depending on the tradition that you come from or how you like to work. But the way that I would do it would be to produce energetic structures around myself that create an environment that is welcoming to things that are aligned with the vibration I'm shooting for. And I'm going to be very clear about that in my intention. And that is repulsive in a magnetic sense to things that are lower than that vibration or that are not aligned with that vibration. So to be really clear and simple about saying that, I might employ a technique called a Reiki sphere of divine grace, which is literally manifesting a sphere of Reiki energy around you. That's a very simple, easy way to do it. If you were someone that came from the Western esoteric initiatory tradition or any of the magical orders, you might do the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram or one of those banishing processes. Again, in any kind of space clearing that you want to do, anything that would be appropriate to set that stage. When you clear your space before you begin, and I'm sure that you guys have all these practices locked in, but when you clear your space before you begin, you're already setting that stage. And then when you create the energetic device or structure or environment around yourself, which is of course just laden with intention, you're reinforcing that. And not only, it's not about closing yourself off as much as it is filtering.
Okay, thank you for that, because she has struggled a lot with how to protect herself, because when you, as a trans medium, when you become, and it's hard for me to explain to people to understand it, but it's kind of like you had a TV, you had the VCR, and you're trying to watch TV, and you got to use the VCR to watch the TV. She's the VCR. Yep. So when she goes into a meditative state and opens up, it leaves a lot of room for attack. and that's what we're concerned with, because I've had to have her reel in what she wants to do in certain arenas because it's not safe for her to open up. So, I mean, she wants to do more work, but she's afraid of what's happened previously. I mean, she actually had a partial possession. So that I had to clear her from. That was a lot of work. But she's trying to find a way to be able to protect herself. So I thank you for that answer. Let me bring up Nikki's question. She said, did you feel you developed certain triggers to certain spiritual energies, or always had them and simply learned to interrupt them differently or interpret them differently, then developed proper coping skills? Sorry, I'll shut up. Not shut up.
Nikki, we love your questions.
Nikki, we love you, girl.
I appreciate it.
Don't make me say the word. Don't make me say the word ever again. No, whatever questions you want, because there's a lot of questions, guys. I gotta tell you.
Okay, so Nikki, triggers to spiritual energies. I think that I am tend to be sensitive to earth-based energies and things that are like earth elementary, and I tend to be really easily aligned with, and I detect them easily. But as far as energy sensitivity goes, I'm more sensitive to human energies than I am to spiritual energies, I think. So that is to say, I detect easily and work easily with spiritual energies. But that's not something sorry?
Sounds pretty empathic.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's not something that I ever knew or understood, or even once I didn't accept that about myself. I didn't recognize it at first myself. And so when you're not working with, like, I had no idea about my sensitivity to spiritual energy until I started dealing with my sensitivity to my own energy, my own chi, and the flow of people around me in that.
Yeah, it's something I would definitely tell you to look into, because everything you're telling me is baseline empathic. So, for yourself. Yeah. And that's just something that, and I'm just being open and honest from my experience, a lot of times that isn't men. That's a good 85-90% female.
Yes,
but when men have it, like, I don't want it. All right. I'm already got enough going on with me. I want a part of it. But my wife is a trans medium, but also is empathic. And it's like, oh my God. And I always tested people in the past. I think it's funny because I've had people go, I don't know. I said, do you ever walk into a room if you're really upset for no reason? Yeah. Do you ever walk into another place and feel really excited and happy for no reason? Yeah. Do you ever walk into a really crowded room and feel like you're being squeezed? Yeah, you're probably empathic.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of one of those things, But Tara asks, how do you start meditating?
So one of my favorite quotes from, again, I'll say Eckhart Tolle, but I have many, is one mindful breath in and out in meditation. And what I want to draw from that is the fact that a meditation does not need to be a long, drawn out, formal, complex, technical thing. To start meditating, you need to have one thing. It doesn't need to be a perfect environment. You don't need to be in a perfect mind. You don't need to be in silence. None of that. Okay? You can meditate in the middle of Times Square in the rain. Okay? What you need to do is to be willing to be present with whatever's arising. Right? And it's going to be maybe not a good trip. And you have to be willing to have that experience, because you're never going to. Okay, so another favorite quote of mine is from Ajahn Chah, who is a relatively famous monk from the Thai forest tradition. He's a Theravada Buddhist, and he's a very beautiful, now departed soul. And he always said that the peace is to be found in the exact same place as suffering. And so this is why it's important, right? You have to go into the same place where you're suffering, which is in your inner experience. And that's where you're going to find the peace from that and the relief from that as well. You have to go to the root and be with it the way it is. And so in order to start meditating, all you need is that willingness. How to start meditating. Be willing, get your mind around that first, and then sit and meditate, or walk and meditate.
I think
It's really,
honestly,
really that simple.
it's for me. I've noticed that a lot of people, and Nikki's saying, making another statement now. I won't bring it. It's not really a question; it's a statement. But there are a lot of people out there that are truly afraid to speak up about anything that might be going on with them. And if they had the ability to be able to just become, this sounds very trivial, but become one with yourself and not worry about the outside take on anything. I don't. I could give two damns. If somebody doesn't like me, step up, take it, buddy. I'm good with it. As long as I'm good with me and I'm whole and I got the people around me that I love, man, that's all I need. But there are times that everybody, I think, gets to a point where they're afraid of being labeled. I think it's kind of where, we get along the lines of where Nikki's making with that statement. Let me just put the statement up. Let me just put it up. She said, so how many of us have felt truly scared to speak up or know who to ask for help? These kind of resources are so vital. We do appreciate the forum. Thank you all. So, Nikki, we thank you. Okay. Yeah. And we're glad that we have an impact on you. I'm glad that Justin's had an impact on you. Then I could tell by your questions that, you're really enjoying this. That's great. I hope everyone is. Okay. So this, again, is something that I wanted to learn for myself too. Again, for my wife, my partner, who's got issues needing protection. So, there are people out there who are scared to ask for any kind of assistance. You got to find trusted people, and I don't think you can really make a true mark on yourself of improvement and health, a mental or emotional, until you realize you've got at least one person in life that you can come to and say something to. That's why when we talk to our guests and the people watching the show, this is an open forum. I don't care how stupid your question is, you think. Your questions are never stupid. I don't care if you think it's weird. We don't care. Because we genuinely care. That's why we have guys like you on the show, because we genuinely care. And we knew you were going to make an impact. So we want to thank you. And again, in advance, too, for that.
Oftentimes, people ask me if meditation is safe. And I tell them generally, yes, I meditate every day. If I can, I try and meditate every day, sometimes longer periods of time, sometimes shorter periods of time. But I do encourage people to take safety precautions when they are meditating. In my experience, I don't know about you, Justin, you're the guru, so you can kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but I have had instances where people have gone through meditation processes and have been vulnerable and have actually brought something back with them, or have created an attachment or a certain energy form. What is your opinion on that? And if you agree, what steps would you take necessary? You had talked about protection and kind of the active intention, but what steps could you do so that people are not afraid that if they want to try something like this, they're not going to be worried about bringing something back with them?
Sure. No. So, okay. So my perspective and understanding on this is pretty flexible, but it's my personal perspective is rooted in the ritual magic of the Western tradition. And so I would look at this as a means of, you're going deeply into meditation, or you're going deeper into your own psyche just by meditating at all than you normally go. And in doing that, of course, as you describe, you're opening yourself, right? And so what are you opening yourself to? What is that? Well, I don't know, right? It could be whatever. But one theory is, one working teaching from the esoteric school, the Western esoteric school, is that we have the subconscious layer of our psyche, and beyond that, the collective human subconscious. And from within that, we find these archetypal powers and these other things. And then, of course, there's other stuff which is not related to archetypes, but rather is the spirit of a being or some other kind of creature. And I'm not very well versed in that area, so I won't speak to it. But according to the training of ritual magic, you would be taught sort of to teach this as the danger of going deeply into your own subconscious, going beyond that into the human, opening to the human collective subconscious, from which these archetypal creatures, angels and demons and whatever, can come through and cause some influence that you might not have intended or asked. So certainly, I think that no matter which way you look at it, and there's probably thousands of ways to look at it, No matter which way you perceive it or what your personal experience has been, there's good reason for caution, and there's good reason to apply routine practices to address that. And actually, to do with that, I would like to put a pin in your wife Lori there and come back to talking about that at least at some point in the evening.
Sure.
To get into what she's facing for sure.
Now, Nikki's going to hit you again. Nikki, we don't actually pay Nikki to ask the questions. She just kind of throws them out there at us. I mean, it almost seems like we do pay her like a per question, per DM type thing, but we don't. She just has all a really great questions. So here's an element from: what are your feelings on dreams and a relationship with connecting to a deeper insight into a spiritual connection?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So dreams are so powerful. My goodness. So you could get into all kinds of wonderful Tibetan literature. There are Tibetan lamas and yogis that have basically got enlightened in their sleep. And the reason is because what you asked is absolutely available. I have a student actually who I was just with earlier this evening, and she has started having very vivid lucid dreaming experiences, and she's in total control inside these dreams, and it's fantastic. Wow. Because what this is you have this beautiful opportunity, just like in daily life, you have the opportunity to let go when your patterns arise, right? Something comes up, it's bothering you, you have the choice to go with it and rage out, or you can let it go. And the more you practice letting it go, the better you get, the more equanimous you become, and it becomes easier, right? So when we go into the dream, we have that same opportunity again. Our psyche is pulling stuff up in order to bring you a message, in order to bring you an opportunity to overcome something that you haven't overcome in your waking life yet. And maybe you can handle what that looks like in your waking life, but you can handle some version of it that can be expressed in this dream. And letting go in the dream, I'll tell you what, it's exactly the same as letting go in waking life. There's no difference. And that's, the Tibetan yoga of sleep and dreams.
All right, well, she continues on when you're done. Go ahead, Kitty. When you're done,
I was just going to kind of tie into that. Do you think that some of these lucid dreams are actually her astral projecting or remote viewing, in the sense that she's stepping out of her physical consciousness and able to transcend to different dimensions and different locations? I know that sometimes when I get into a very, very deep meditation, I find myself in many different locations, and all of a sudden I'm in Egypt, or all of a sudden I'm in, and I can describe a lot of things. Sometimes I show up for coffee with friends and I don't even know it. So I'll show up at their house and I'll say to them, were you at the grocery store today? And they're like, yeah, how did you know that? And I'm there. I mean, I'm watching them, not in a creepy way, but I'm able to see.
No, you want to be a little creepy. You want to be a little creepy. Don't start lying.
No, but you know what I'm saying, right? I can see them. They're at the deli. I can see them at the deli, and it's a quick glimpse, but I'm able to kind of tap in and have a look, and then tap back out again. So, I often ask, and think, is that astral projection? Is it lucid dreaming? What do you think it is?
So, and my experience here is limited. I myself lucid dream accidentally. I'm not able to do it on purpose. And astral projection is something that I did spend some time training for, with some success, but it's not something that I've continued to practice. I would say that it can be very difficult to discern between, am I experiencing one of these things or another, especially if one hasn't really experienced any of them with any consistency before. And if you experience one of them and you're sort of half in, half out, and it's hazy, your memory is going to be hazy of it the next day. And it's very difficult to look back on that and say, well, geez, which of the three was it? But I think that there are some ways to make that discernment from within the experience. Now, everybody's experience is going to be their own. It's just like, two people receiving Reiki or two people having a meditation. They're not going to have necessarily the same experience, but there's a lot of commonality of what they might expect. And so I think that astral projection, you're going to feel a sense of, we'll call it mobility, that doesn't exist with remote viewing, because
right.
You're limited with remote viewing much more so than an astral projection. Astral projection is all the layers of the many dimensions and whatever the hell is out there, whatever it is. And so,
Right.
whereas your remote viewing, you are a little bit more constrained to your, your world of exploration. And then with lucid dreaming, I find it's the symbolism that's going to bring that's the key there. So because you're not going to find, you may, because of, synchronicities and other things in your astral projection or in your remote viewing, you may see some symbolism or whatever else, but generally you're looking at real things in a sense that actually exist in a sense in some place, in some context. But with your dream, you're going to find a heavier concentration of symbolism, and you're going to find it relevant in a way, it becomes manifest in a way. And if you interact with it in the context of what can I do with it? What is this dream for? What is it being brought to me for? Then you're gonna see it manifest in ways physically in the dream.
Very cool. It's a great answer. Nikki hits you up again with a dream question. What is your feeling on connecting through dream work, going back into the dream state and possibly connecting to a deeper spiritual energies? Is that a thing or just reaching?
No, it's definitely a thing. And that's essentially a large principle of ritual magic. And ritual magic is just Western yoga. That's all it is. And yeah, you're going deeply within your own self. And there's, you might be interested in the concept of deity yoga or the concept of guru yoga, which is where you go into meditation, and the object of your meditation is a visualization of the deity or the angel or the spirit or the guru that you wish to emulate or to absorb the qualities of. And so, in a sense, by doing this detailed visualization in meditation, the idea is that you absorb the qualities and take on the characteristics of this being for yourself. And that the view from the Western esoteric tradition would be that, although there's many other views equally valid, the view here would be that you're going deeply into your own subconscious through it penetrating into the common human subconscious, and from there drawing forward these higher spiritual powers and absorbing them into your lower psyche, bringing the higher self integration. Actually.
All right. Now, Adam, he brings forth a pretty honest and direct, asking for a friend kind of question, I think. He said, people with tempers, what is the best way to calm yourself or someone else?
Yeah. Okay. Great question. So I have a terrible temper. It's a little better than it was, but it's something that I've struggled with. And so this is a question that's very close to my heart, because when I would come to the end of my fuse, it would be very difficult for me to come back from that. So this is a skill that I worked hard to develop for myself. And it's super simple. I think the first thing you can do is breathe. Take a second and just breathe. And that's advice people give you all the time. Count to 10, take a deep breath. Okay, we're not doing that. I want you to take a single breath. We're going to do this in one single breath. You're going to draw it in through your nose. This can be done surreptitiously in public in front of other people. You're just drawing in a full belly breath and hold at the top and feel everything slow down. And release. Blowing gently through pursed lips as though blowing out a candle. And it can take a little bit of practice to make that very simple one breath activity, that one breath technique, become automatic in the moment. That's the trick to this, is to keep practicing it. And especially when you're alone, because it's easier. And it doesn't matter if you catch yourself in the middle of freaking out and you do this, catch yourself and do it. That's fine. It's never too late. Do it. Do it after the fact. do it the next day when you realize that you're not on board the day before, and you need to get through that feeling. This is a practice that's deadly simple, and it gives you just a little bit of space. It gives you a gap between yourself, you as awareness, you in there, right? And the anger reactivity. And in that gap, you have the opportunity to just watch the anger and not go with it. And this too takes practice. But these are very simple things that you can teach to a child.
cool.
My friend is teaching this exact technique to his 3-year-old daughter tremendously successfully. She loves it. It's great. And it works so well. So well.
See,
3-year-old
I
tantrums.
come from a background of throat punch, ask questions later. So I'm from New York and I'm half Italian. So you know, we just go a different direction with things. I need to try that because there are a lot of people that just get on me and just. And in a serious note, I completely appreciate that because I am a guy who also has a temper, and I would like to be able to find a way to take that time out for myself because it does get to a point where I'm not a physically violent guy. I mean, unless you damage my family or try to, then yeah, all bets off. But I have a all right. So here's my challenge. I have a problem with ignorant people.
Yep.
Not stupid people, because stupid means you can't learn. Ignorant means you refuse to. So, or you don't. So I have a real challenge with that. And I actually will use that technique going forward because instead of lighting off, I'd rather not. You know what I mean? Because honestly, I think if you light off, Adam's talking about temper. When you light off, you're letting them win.
Absolutely.
Well, it's a reaction.
Absolutely.
It's a reaction, right? You're reacting. You're not acting to it. And with a reaction, you're misfiltering what you're using. Anger as the easiest emotion instead of using any other emotion possible. But I love how I love how you talk about, even with the young child being able to teach this. We should be teaching this in schools. This should be taught as everyday curriculum. I don't understand why this is not being taught every day. If there's any teachers listening, please, if you find this beneficial, use it because, I'm going to start with I take a lot of deep breaths with my kids, not going to lie. Okay. But not centering myself. This is more trying to keep my patience, but I'm going to refocus the energy and make it about me being in the present moment so that I don't get angry with my children.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I fully agree with you on the school part, but being married to a school teacher, I will tell you they are so strict about it, and because also this is not believing in science, or it's believing in something other than science, and that is not what a school is going to teach anybody. So as much of a benefit, I think it would be. My wife Lori works with 6-year-olds, 42 of them things.
Good Lord.
All day long.
That's so many.
God love her. She's got a ton of patience. I don't. If they're not kids, that's great. If they're not, God bless them.
Yeah.
Because I would become kindergarten cop in a heartbeat. And I would get fired so fast from the school job as a teacher. But she's got the patience of Job. But it's still, they get on your nerves and they rattle you. But a lot of times there's anger. And I've heard this from her that there's a lot of anger between students at 6 years old. So, I think that would be great if we would teach something like that in schools. But I know in the the U.S. school system, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
They're not.
You're going to have to start in very liberal urban centers probably, and probably wealthier schools that have, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be slow, but I think we'll see it eventually. The science is now following with meditation. I'd like to see some more science done for energy work, but they've done beautiful things to establish the scientific basis for the benefits of meditation practice with fMRI scans and stuff like that. And I think it was Thubten Rinpoche, the Tibetan master there. They hooked him up to all the brain doodles there, and they had him alternate between doing nothing and doing metta meditation, which is loving kindness meditation. And lit up the center in his brain. I don't know what it's called for compassion by 800%. Well, he's during this 1 minute on and off,
Wow.
on and off, and this is all captured on an fMRI. So yeah, very, very remarkable stuff. So I'd love to see more of that for Reiki and other forms of energy work. I keep referring to Reiki because it's a term that people are comfortable with and know, but really all energy work is energy work.
Energy work. Amen.
Now, Nikki brings up another question. He said, would you agree that true centering or in control should start with you being centered first?
Yeah. Now, true centering or in control should start with you being centered first. So I think I need some clarification on that. I'm wondering what is meant there, because if I'm centering, but I have to center first, so I just need to,
Yeah,
clarify that.
I think it might be leaning on you. You want to help somebody become centered, but you need to be centered first. It's kind of where I think it's
Got
leaning.
you.
I could be wrong.
I think
Nikki,
I think
let us
I think
know
you're
if I
right.
can come off base. I just,
I just needed help. I think you're right. Okay, so and please feel free to correct us if we're wrong and ask another question
yeah.
for sure. But yeah, so in that case, yes, absolutely, you have to be centered yourself before you can help somebody else. I mean, it's a little bit like, say you and a buddy are both doing guitar lessons together. Yeah, you can help each other out. Maybe I learned something today, or I got a new pick today and it worked okay for me. It did this, it did that. And there's that, camaraderie among peer students. But really, and it's not about, oh, I should be above you before I teach you. It's about, I should have my business at least relatively together. And
Right.
also, just in a really practical sense, how is anyone ever going to be able to help someone else out of their pit if they've never crawled out of their own pit, right? If you don't
Right.
have that direct experience, you can have read all the books and you can know all of the buzzwords, but if you haven't actually climbed that climb, then I hope that in most cases it would be pretty evident pretty quickly. But I
Right.
guess some people are pretty charismatic, right? So yeah, but yeah.
Well, so now Nikki has a question for Katie. So I would like to ask Katie, do you feel when you're feeling off or just not right spiritually, do you feel your animals are often the first to let you know, like your horses, and why is that?
Yes, that's a great question. Absolutely. Animals read energy without judgment. So animals are it's a unconditional love. And to me, they're the only things in life that can give you a true sense of unconditional love. And they love you more than they love themselves because they don't know about loving themselves. So when you're off, they sense that energy right away. My horse, I can tell you, growing up with the horse that I had as a kid, he was priceless, and he saved my life more times than none. And simply for the fact of trying to help me, there was nothing about to me, going back and looking at situations, there was nothing about that was going to save him. He truly did it for me. And why did he do that? What was in his brain? But he sensed my energy, or he sensed the energy around him was bad, and he was able to save us. I think that he tried. My dogs, I had birds, I've had cats, I've had many different animals, and they were all very, very, very effective in getting me consciously aware of something going on. So not even with myself, but in a negative energy present. So an evil entity, they would let me know that there was something there if I couldn't even pick it up. So yes, to answer your question, absolutely, they shift on energies, they read it well. And I've always said, trust an animal more than a person. If an animal has something, is not liking a person, there's a reason for it. And get to the bottom of it, because it's much better than finding out the hard way.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's really funny you say that, because I have said that a million times, that animals know people better than people do. And I think that's absolutely true. I think they
know energy well.
Sir?
Sorry, they know energy better than us too.
Oh yeah. That's why they're better investigators than humans are. They can feel any energy in any room and know if it's good or bad just by the way it feels.
Do you guys work with animals ever?
Huh?
Have you guys ever done investigation with animals?
Not
Yes.
intentionally, not me.
Yeah.
I've done it as a pet owner. I
Yeah.
had a pet that could see. There was a gentleman at one of my old houses that he was deceased, and he would walk across my front yard and disappear into a bush. And I had just rescued an animal, a lab mixed with pit bull, and I was walking him outside, going to walk him outside for the first time, and he lost it. He just reared back, hair went straight up, growled really deeply, and literally his head moved with the man that I could see. And it was just, he just reacted to it because he wasn't sure what it's about. But yeah, I'd never. What was that investigation like, Katie? What was that? What was that like with the animal?
So again, it wasn't as if we were like I brought a dog with me to investigate, but there was one investigation where I actually was at a horse barn, and the horses were able to communicate. Kind of showing us where they were standing, they were reacting, and we were able to get the spirit to validate the horses and back and forth. So, we would say to the spirit, can you get the horses to look at you? And all of a sudden the horses would all shift and look. We would, also ask, we would be keeping mindful of the horses when we felt that the entities were getting too close. They would be uncomfortable. So it kind of worked both ways that we were able to witness it. Now, a funny story to talk about animals. I had a beautiful dog. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I had a beautiful dog, Sherman. I called him Sherman. And before he passed, he was very protective of the house. Now, he wasn't vicious, but he was quite protective. Well, he passed away. And months later, my mother-in-law she come for a visit. And she came up the stairs and the next morning, and she was quite perturbed. And she said, I don't understand. She said, why was Sherman growling at me? And I said, I don't like, what do you mean? And she said, why was my other dog growling at her? It wasn't Sherman. And I said, no, my other dog was in my room with me sleeping. And she said, well, I heard the dog growl. And what it was my dog, even though he had passed away, was guarding, and she heard him clear as a bell. So he was not only protecting in life, but he was protecting in death.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Those are great stories. I know there are a couple. It is a TV crew that had tried using a dog on a few investigations and worked out really well. You just have to, I think for that, I would also want to be concerned about damage to the animal, because again, you don't know what that spirit is doing sometimes to that animal, and you never know what's going to come out of it. So that kind of concerns me. Now, Mario put up this question, or a statement rather, and it's in regards to, I believe, the temper. Question that came up earlier. He said, I wish it was that easy to let go. So let me just throw this out there, Mario. It's going to take a lot more than one attempt.
Yeah, it is.
You have to practice and practice and practice until you can get to a point, I think, and then of course Justin can have a lot more eloquent an answer than I'm giving you. But it's going to take a time to where you realize you're getting there and not blow. And then you need to take a time when you start getting there to bring it down with meditation and breathing.
Absolutely. Yep.
And then you will get to a point where you'll feel it coming and you whoop, all right, I'll take a breath. My dad used to call it taking a knee. They do that in the service. Yeah. When things get crazy in the service, firefight, whatever, when things finally calm down, take a knee and breathe. And that centers you as a person, at least in that field, in that aspect. So I would just tell you, keep on practicing. I mean, Justin, do you have any other direction for him on that?
That's the core of it. But yeah, so basically the single breath technique that I gave, and the focus in that is really, when you're holding at the top, you want to focus on everything slowing down while you hold it. And it's easy to feel that if you give it just a second. Now, so practice is key for that, but that's just a tool. You have to understand that's just a tool to use in the moment to cool yourself down. And even being able to use that tool is going to require practice, okay? But to give you more steps, to give you the steps to give yourself the space that Richard was talking about, to be able to catch the anger arising, to be able to catch the reactivity, meditation is where it's at. So you're practicing meditation, you're practicing it at home, you're practicing it under relatively idyllic circumstances. And this is practice. It's practice to be able to be mindful enough to catch the anger arising, to catch yourself developing a disturbance inside before you automatically go into reactivity, right? So meditation is really the key. And just a mindfulness meditation, just any relaxation meditation, you can meditate on the breath, you can meditate on a candle, you can meditate on a sound, you can do walking meditation. There's a million ways to do this thing. Whatever resonates with you the most is the right way. And in doing so, you're going to develop the mindfulness and the attention and the self-awareness to really catch yourself in that moment. And once you start catching yourself, that's really the space in which you have exceptional power, to use the tool that I gave you, to diffuse in that moment. So it does take a bit of practice. It really actually is that easy to let go. It's just also not that easy in the sense that it's a very simple process and it's 100% guaranteed to work. It just means you have to be willing to practice, and you have to be willing for it to be uncomfortable at first, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So let's, for those of you who have not meditated, they don't understand meditation, or are afraid to try it. They've tried it and it didn't work. They couldn't clear their mind. What are some basic principles, some basic activities, some basic things that somebody can do as a beginner to start meditating? What's your advice?
Sure, absolutely. So I would always recommend that you begin with a category of meditation in Buddhism that's referred to as samatha meditation, which means concentration. And this is a form of meditation where you focus on a meditation object, which again could be anything, could be the breath, it could be a candle, it could be an image of your guru or deity, as we discussed before, although that's a little more complex for starting out. It can be any object, right? It can be the sensation of energy in your hands. That's a really good one because people have a hard time with the breath. So the whole point to this initial form of meditation is just to put your attention on the object, whatever works best for you, you choose that. Put your attention on it. And when you become distracted, bring your attention back to the object. Don't judge yourself. Don't freak out about it. Don't get angry that you or feel like you've failed, right? You haven't. This is the exercise. This is the whole exercise. And by going through these oscillations between having your attention focused on the object and being distracted away, and then bringing it back and being distracted away and bringing it back, you will eventually, if you keep doing it, you will eventually develop single-pointed concentration. And with that skill, with that ability, you will be able to penetrate anything you apply that focus to. So to start out in meditation, the simplest thing to do is to choose either the breath or the sensation of energy in your hands, or to listen to sound, just generally to listen to sound. You're not playing music or anything. You're just listening to whatever sounds there may be. And these are the objects that are always available to you. You don't have to light a candle. You don't have to bring something with you. You don't have to set anything up. So try to choose one of those as your first object. Work with them all. See which one works for you. Just do 5 minutes with each one if you can. And when you've selected this object, you're going to sit down with it. You're going to place your attention with it. And you're just going to go with that and relax. It's that simple. It doesn't sound like much, but this is the preparatory practice that's going to give you the concentration and the tranquility that you need to be able to do a higher level of meditation, which would be insight meditation, where the object of your meditation, instead of being a candle or the breath or the vibration in your hands, the object of the meditation is the mind, the emotions, and the sensation of the body, all as one object. And as you can imagine, you need a little bit of tranquility to be able to withstand seeing what your mind is doing and feeling what your heart is doing inside of you. And you need a little bit of concentration to be able to focus on that as one solid object and to be able to do that in a meaningful way. So to begin with, you want to just develop that first beautiful increase in your tranquility and some mindfulness, some concentration. And you're going to do that by just choosing a simple object such as the breath, sound, or the sensation of energy in the hands, and bringing your attention to it. You can do it for 5 minutes. You can do it for 5 minutes. If you can't do 5 minutes, do 2 minutes. Doesn't matter. Do what you can do. Don't set unreasonable expectations for yourself. And but do stick to the time you set. So if you say you're going to do 15 minutes and you know you can do 15 minutes because you've done it already, do your 15 minutes, right? It's that simple. But don't say I'm going to do 3 hours when that's not reasonable for your lifestyle or your ability at this time. And I think I don't want to go too much further for instructions for a beginner. I hope that didn't overwhelm people, and I hope that the repetition there was useful.
No, for sure.
Thank you, Justin. I do have to interrupt for a quick second. I just got told about an emergency that happened with our son, who's a sheriff's deputy who just got into a high-speed chase and got pushed off a side of a mountain with it. So I want to step away mic-wise and mute myself. Katie, if you can go ahead and take over, I need to go get follow-up
Absolutely.
on that. Yeah, I'll be right back.
Absolutely. We're praying. I'm sorry to hear that. That's horrible. Let everybody
nuts.
please, while we can, let's try and pray and send some good energy Richard's family's way to make sure that everything is good. So I hope that he's okay. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely dramatic. That's awful. Holy smokes.
So folks, I apologize. So let's try to focus a little bit. So people aren't worried. So there's people that have suggested mindful meditation and guided meditation. So there's things on YouTube and there's certain things that you can listen to. What are your thoughts on that? What is your opinion on that? Do you think it's something that's worth doing? Do you think it's something you would steer away from? What do you think about that?
Yeah, so really, I think that there's a lot of confusion to begin with about what meditation is. There's a lot of material out there, a lot of exercises that are wonderful mental exercises or wonderful imaginative exercises or develop visualization, or maybe they contribute in a number of ways to the skill set of meditation, but they aren't necessarily meditation. So meditation really, at its core, is anything that brings your attention very fully into the present moment, right? That's the practice of meditation. And then the state of meditation is the awareness, the quality of awareness that is revealed, bring your attention fully into the present moment. Yeah. And that's really all it is. So that's very open-ended, right? So you could stack rocks, and if that brings you into a state of attention being in the present moment, stacking rocks is your meditation. You know what I mean? It's really open-ended. Yeah. So as far as guided meditation and YouTube and stuff goes, I think that within the context of what I've just framed there, it's all good. It's just know what you're doing. So if you're on there, and there's gorgeous material out there, and I use lots of it, but
yeah. So I often tell people that my meditation, as an equestrian, my meditation is riding my horse. It's a physical and an emotional expulsion of energy for me. So for me, when I'm riding my horse, I'm not focused on the car insurance. I'm not focused on the kids. I'm not focused on my daily grind. I'm in that present consciousness. I'm in that moment. I'm physically maneuvering, and I'm also mentally clearing. And when I get off of my horse, I feel I feel centered. And I'd say even the worst day riding my horse is still better than the best, the worst day on a normal basis. So some people walk, some people sit and meditate, some people, I feel like we have the stigma of there's a specific way that we're supposed to meditate. And, I think there's so many. So I'm glad that you're able to say that, because, I feel like I was doing it the right way, and I felt and centered, and my chi was heightened. And I just hope that other people can find that as well.
I just want to say, yeah, that's how you know you're doing it the right way. That's how you know, is because you're experiencing those results.
Right. So quickly, Richard, is everything okay? Are you good to go?
He's okay. He had the scare of his life, but thankfully he's driving a Ford Explorer, not a little car, and it shook him. Oof. But he's all right. And actually, he's back in service.
Lord. Just a normal day at work, guys. Just a normal day at work.
I will tell you, the staffing level at his department's pretty thin. And Caleb, our son, is really very orientated on his job. He wants to do his job correctly, and I would have personally sent him home. His car got turned sideways. They thought he flipped it and everything else, and he's back in service with another vehicle. Anyway, that's my life.
Maybe we should do some meditation. Maybe meditation will help him calm his mind.
Well, I
It
think
certainly
seeing
will.
his little 2-year-old daughter and his wife probably made him feel a lot better. So,
Yeah.
but I thank y'all for your concern. I do really. I want to bring up another because we're running out of time, guys.
Yeah.
It's
Go
okay.
figure. So let me bring up a couple of relevant questions from people we might not have heard from so far. Herbie, is it true that when you dream walk, you travel to a lot of dimensions that you create when you project your astral form? You travel to more practical realities, such as traveling to London, China, etc. By the way, hello.
Yes. So my understanding, and I may get your order wrong there, but my understanding of it and experience with it is that it is something like that. Yeah. So if you're going to be remote viewing, you're remote viewing things that you would see in your waking life. You're not remote viewing the dream world or other dimensions. With your astral projection, you're able to permeate other dimensions and whatever else. And then if you're dream walking or lucid dreaming, then you're in the symbolic world of your subconscious.
Now, another lady brings up Goldie Hawn developed a program called Mind Up, which is great and teaches mindful breathing. Have you ever heard about that?
I haven't heard of the specific program. However, mindful breathing, something I learned from Thich Nhat Hanh, and I think is an amazing practice in all its permutations. There's 1,001 ways to do it, and it's awesome. And in fact, that one breath technique I gave for diffusing anger in the moment, that is absolutely a mindful breathing technique. It's just a very brief one.
Okay. And Herbie says, I think honestly it is healthy to express emotions. To deny them is not being true to yourself. Just never let them use up all your time.
Oh boy, I'm glad you said that, because that is one of the biggest misconceptions about meditation, and people feel that it's repression. People are concerned that it's about suppressing your emotions and not allowing them up, and people feel that it's about pushing everything aside and being emotionless. It's not about that at all. In fact, it's about having a very raw, direct, pure experience of life as it is. So you're not pushing anything away. In fact, meditation is the cessation of repression. Okay. Yeah.
Oftentimes when I meditate and have gone through recalibration through the bars of consciousness, I cry. And I'm not
Yes. Oh, yeah.
it's not a conscious effort. I'm not sad. I'm not, but there's certain physical things that occur that my body's kind of behind or delayed in that energetically I'm releasing, and my body
Flushing.
has to react to it. And so, guys,
Totally.
if that occurs, and Justin, I mean, you're the guru, you can kind of reiterate, but I find that sometimes it's important to let those things go. If you got to cry, let it out. If you need to
Beautiful.
scream, let it out, because that's the body's way of removing that energy and allowing yourself to kind of defrag.
Totally. Yeah. No, and I tell people when I teach them, you may experience it, whether it's meditation or energy work, it doesn't matter. You may experience emotional release, you may experience flatulence, sleepiness. There's all these different experiences,
Yawning.
and it's your body letting go of stuff. Yeah, yawning, the sighing, all that kind of thing. I've had full body trembling, crying, snot coming out of my nose. My poor Reiki healer, my goodness. But anyway.
You know, another really crazy thing, and you're going to laugh at this, but I crave chocolate. Crave sweets, I should say. Crave sweets. A lot of times with energy work, when you do a recalibration, you crave sweets after. And I always tell my clients it's important to fall into those things when you're craving anything or doing after a meditation. If your body craves something sweet, then eat sweet. If you're craving something salty, eat salty. That doesn't mean eat the whole box, right?
No.
But
No.
it's important to indulge in that after, so that your nobody told me the whole box. Yeah, so that you're satisfied.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Herbie
I get hungry after sessions.
No,
Herbie
no,
wants to
we're not
cook
talking about bourbon, everybody. If you're getting cravings down, you know, it's within limits. It's within limits.
Easy. All right. So Herbie said, I've heard that if you don't protect yourself when you try to perform astral projection, the spirit can invade your body. I'm going to go ahead and say yes right up that. What do you think?
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
And can also screw with your astral body. So all kinds of watch out. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
You'll notice earlier on I said I don't practice it anymore. It's not for no reason.
No, it can be dangerous. I know that there are certain people that I am a firm believer that through those meditations, they thought maybe it was something physical like sleep apnea and such, but they literally didn't come back. And there are those cases that people have been in comas. It's not even the fact that they're consciously astral projecting, but they've been in comas and they've come back with something. Or it's not even them, they're stand-ins. On a spiritual level, Richard, you understand this, and I'm sure, Justin, you too, that, possession isn't necessarily you leaving your body and somebody coming in, but it's something coming in with you and occupying it. And to the point where you don't even consciously know it's there, but there's changes in your character, there's changes in your reaction, there's changes in your cravings and the way that you speak, and really it's something else attached to you.
That's interesting. Yeah, I've had the same thing after a shamanic soul retrieval, which is a desirable thing coming back to you, but like a piece of you, but it's not, it's the same experience. It's like it wasn't there before, and you're like, what is going on with this craving? That's really interesting.
I've had that kind of experience after I've eaten KFC. But,
Oh, shit.
talking about the flatulence part. Anyway, in a moment, you're going to see Katie going, reel it in. Reel it in. I like having a little fun. Sorry. So, we've about absolutely blown our time.
Yeah.
So what I need, Justin, from you is as I'm sure everybody else in here wants to know.
Yeah, everybody's intrigued.
Everyone's intrigued. If they need to get a hold of you, want to get a hold of you, what do you got going on? Lay it on us.
Yeah, perfect. So, should I put stuff in the chat here, or should I just say it? Or what?
Absolutely.
You can. You can type it in chat. Say it out loud. A lot of times, our folks come back and rewatch the show. Thank you, God.
Okay.
Anyway, they come back and rewatch the show, and they'll pull it up that way. But yeah, sure. I mean, put in whatever you got.
I'll plug it in after here. So, I've got a Facebook business page, which is relatively new, just a place for people to land. You can book sessions with me through there. You can message me through there. I'm open to questions. I'm not going to charge you to answer an email. I love doing it for free. It's something that I try to do for free whenever the opportunity arises, but it is something that I'm trying to make a business of as well. But I'm really open to communicating.
You just opened the floodgates of inundation to you, right?
That's right. I'm open to emails because it's really important that people meditate. It's really important that people meditate. So I'm not going to come to your house and give you a 90-minute session for nothing, but I will answer your email. Yes.
Well, for the majority of the people on this show right now, saying the word house or a boot, you're not going to be anywhere near me. But that's the good thing about it. I got to hear the word of boot. I don't know how many times tonight. So yeah.
So you do a lot of virtual sessions, right? You can do a lot of this stuff virtually as well, because we have wonderful fans around the world. So it's really great that if they're interested, and of course they will be, that they can contact you and kind of do this virtually, which would be great.
Definitely. So my email is direct.path.meditation@gmail.com. Okay. And I'll type that in here. And then my Facebook business page is facebook.com/meditation and energy work, all one word. And I'll put that in there as well.
Okay.
So there's that.
So Justin, are you going to be hosting a lot of, there's things coming up, you're talking about the metaphysical fair. I would love to see more stuff like that. So Justin is local to my area, so it's kind of great that we can kind of work back and forth. I will definitely be sending people your way. I think
you need to do a podcast, my friend.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Katie mentioned this to me earlier, actually, so I'll take that to heart from you both.
Yes. Well, we're definitely going to have you back, because I can tell you right now, they love you. They love you. We love you. You have
I love being here. Thank you for having me.
It's great knowledge. I think that we could do a whole show just on different types of meditation. And I think that would be something. Everybody, what do you think? Put it in the comments. If you think you'd like to hear more from Justin, put it in the comments. We're getting a ton of love. We're getting so much love right now.
Nikki. Thank you,
and we'd love to get into more specifics.
Thank you, Herbie. A lot of people saying thank you. Thank you, Jane. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Tara, Nikki, again, great. We have great fans. I can't say anything more about them any better than they're fantastic. And then they have this incredible ability every time we do one of these crazy things to show up. And that to me means a lot. And we've been doing this show now for going on 3 years with Katie and I. I've been doing it now for 5.5.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those things where people look forward to it. I'm glad to get something from it. Again, guys, we're glad
Awesome.
you got something out of the opportunity to have Justin with us tonight. I know it meant a lot, obviously, to a few of you to be able to ask questions that you needed to ask.
Yeah.
In this forum. Yes, I would like to be able to make an arrangement to have Justin back.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Like listen, we're getting thank you so much, Justin, Katie, and Richard, for outstanding podcasts. Super awesome and so cool. Tara says thank you, Justin. Jane Whitehall says thank you, Justin. Bernie says awesome show. Thank you again, teachers, honored guest. Is there a link we can share? So Justin's going to put it in the comments, and we'll definitely share it as well. And
Yeah, go ahead and
we're
type
getting
that link
thumbs
in
up.
there,
And
Justin. Go ahead and
yes,
type it in.
excellent information for everybody. So this is so great. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, guys.
Oh,
So
I think
again,
I put it into the private chat. Hang on.
that's right.
Comments.
So
Here
Justin's
we go.
going to put the link to his Facebook page in the general comments section, in the general chat, so you guys can link onto that, like his page, share his page. It'll do good for anybody that sees it. So hopefully you like this show, you'll like it, and you'll share it as well. We'd really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I can't seem to enter it into the comments. I don't. It's not available to enter anything.
That's okay. That's okay. If
It's in the private chat. I put it in the private chat.
Okay, I will in the private chat. That is between the three.
I got it right here in the private chat. I got it. Problem is, I can't.
Sorry, guys.
Post either, unfortunately.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
because we're on the thing.
Yeah.
That's okay. We'll make sure that it's up in the comments after we're done.
Yep.
And we'll have it ready for everybody. Again, guys, if you like what Justin's doing, if you want to learn more about meditation, check out his Facebook page. He's open up comments and messages. And if you like what you heard tonight, please like and share. And we'll get it to as many people as possible. We would love to have you back, Justin. We've said that again, but we'll say it a million times. Come on back. If we can do more classes on this, if we can teach more people, we would love to have you.
Definitely.
We would.
Definitely. Let's do it. Love
All
it.
right, guys.
Thank you
We're
very much.
Go ahead and wrap this up here. We will catch you next time around. So look for something to come up. And again, if you have show ideas, guys, don't bother taking more than 2 seconds. Reach out. Let us know. I call this Mike Rowing. Mike Rowe from the Dirtiest Jobs used to do this at the end of every show, and I liked it. If you have an idea for something, just reach out and let us know, and we'll find an expert to be able to come on here, or a guest to be able to come on here and talk about it. Or maybe Katie and I will just talk about it, one or the other. One way or the other, you're going to be stuck with at least us.
Right?
That's the way it works.
Exactly.
Justin, thank you very much. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
We'll
Thank
talk
you.
to you soon, guys.
You bet.
Okay. Bye.